And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the
classic.
Hey everyone, Alex back again with another video. The next part of my top 100, we're doing 40 through 31 today. Sorry I couldn't count then. Yeah, so exciting stuff. This is where we get into, like I said in the last part, this is sort of where we get into the albums I tend to listen to the most. A lot of these ones coming up, there's maybe one or two here and there that I don't own from the top 40 here, but you guys will see them, like I said, like I've been doing previously. I'll put the album cover up on the screen somewheres. But yeah, like I've been saying in the previous parts, if you've missed any parts to this video, check the description down below where there's a link to the full playlist. You guys can check out any parts you've missed. But like I said, we're doing 40 through 31 today, so let's get into it. And kicking off the top 40 already, an album I don't own is Jay-Z's The Blueprint. This album came out in 2001, 2002, around about that sort of region, but every song on this album, I love it. It's the only Jay-Z album I play to death. I mean, I used to be a massive Jay-Z fan back when I was back in my teens, but sort of grew out of that phase quickly, and Blueprint is really the only one I tend to go back to, just because it's the one that had the biggest impact. Obviously you've got songs like Izzo, The Ruler's Back, Takeover, Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, obviously the title track itself. Every song on it is just brilliant, and this is sort of the peak of Jay-Z's career. At this album, it was this and his debut where he sort of cemented his legacy in hip-hop and rap, and this album, like all of his other albums, rely very heavily on sampling, but I just love this album because of some of the samples they use on some of the tracks. Izzo samples like a Jackson 5 song, and Takeover obviously samples The Doors and things like that. So very, very cool, very good album from Jay-Z, and what I would say is his best. I always put it at number one for his best, but that may be because of my biasness towards this album, how much it's impacted me, and how I still listen to hip hop today. So yeah, Jay-Z's The Blueprint comes in at number 40. At 39 is Eminem's The Eminem Show. I love this album as well. Obviously, previously this album would probably be higher, but you've got the hit song Without Me on this album, which was famously in Suicide Squad, I believe, a few years back. Sing for the Moment with the massive Aerosmith sample in that song. Superman is on that one. But yeah, this is just an incredible album from front to back, and it's the last perfect Eminem album, I would say, because it's that phase between the last album just before he took his big break, and Encore was great because you had songs like Toy Soldiers and Mockingbird on that album, but it didn't hit me as hard as this album did, and I would like to say there's a couple of weaker songs on that album, but this is definitely the last perfect Eminem album for me. And again, going back to my teen years, Eminem was pretty much all I would ever listen to, and anybody that Eminem sort of worked with or referenced in his songs or anything like that. So yeah, it was Eminem or nothing really. So, and this is just the one that's still stuck with me. So yeah, Eminem's The Eminem Show is at number 39. At number 38, and this album's definitely going to be one hardly anyone's going to know, but I've talked about it a couple of times on my channel, is the Fujiya, and the album called Transparent Things by Fujiya and Miyagi. What this is, it's a krautrock album. And despite what the band name might suggest, they are from Brighton and they're a 5-piece. And they also gave me a personalised letter with the album, which was nice of them. But yeah, this was exclusive to, I think, 2,000 copies, maybe a little bit less than that on Bandcamp. It might still be available, I don't know, but this album, this reissue sounds really good. It's on clear vinyl, and it's just an absolutely incredible album from them. I love it. I would say it's probably their best album, if not definitely up there, but this is sort of the one that kind of introduced me to more krautrock. I listened to it and I was like, oh, that's really good. So yeah, this is the reason, or one of the reasons I should say, I listen to krautrock, and it's always the one I tend to go back to most. I can't explain why, really. It's just an album that for me has always had that big impact, and so I tend to go back, revisit it a lot, but just because of, being one of the first things I really remember and went out and purchased specifically off Bandcamp, because I discovered it through the vinyl community. So yeah, Fujiya and Miyagi's Transparent Things is at 38. At number 37, we have a reggae album. Now, yeah, I know that's quite a transition from hip-hop to krautrock to reggae, but this is my channel. We're going to be jumping back from genre to genre quite often. And yeah, at number 37 is Uprising by Bob Marley, the second Bob Marley album on this list. I actually really like this one just because you've got Could You Be Loved and Redemption Song on this album. But obviously everything else outside of those songs is incredible. This is the last album released before Bob Marley passed away, if not it was just after. But this is a great, if you're going to go out, this is a great way to go out, for sure. There you can see Bob Marley and all his wailers there. But just an incredible album. You've got all the lyrics on the back, obviously. And obviously one of the albums that stuck out to me, particularly of Bob's, because obviously the first one I started with was Legends. So after discovering what songs I liked on there the most, tracked down the albums, this one definitely stuck out to me loads, as you can see. So yeah, Bob Marley and the Wailers' Uprising is at 37. At 36, we're going back to hip hop, and I think, if I remember correctly, yeah, this is the last hip hop album of this video. So we'll get into this quickly. And of course, at 36, how can I not put Gangstar's Moment of Truth up at 36? The sole reason that DJ Premier is my favourite hip-hop producer, so anything by him I'll grab it. Just an incredible album, triple album, and I think maybe the only triple album on this list, but incredible stuff, because you've got My Steez, Above the Clouds, JFK to LAX, Moment of Truth, the title track, and Militia. I mean, if you can name a song on this album, then it's a good one. I mean, Gangstar's, yeah, some of their albums are obviously great, some of their albums are not as great, but this one, I mean, I'll put it up there in the top 3 for sure. I'd put it at number 1 for me, but again, biasness comes in there. Gangstar have a few really good albums, but this one's always stuck out to me the most just because of how good it is from front to back. And yeah, I can't point out any flaws with this album. It's always stuck out to me more than any of their others. But yeah, Gangstar's Moment of Truth really, really good. I love this album. I can't think of any other way. If you're gonna have these two working together, I always associate this album with like the peak of Gang Starr's career. Yeah, I know everyone's got that preference on what their favourite Gang Starr album is, but this is mine, and with good reason as well, because it's a great, great album at the height of their career. So yeah, Gang Starr's Moment of Truth comes in at 36. At 35, we're going to an 80s R&B album, and I won't be the only one of this video, but it'll probably be the most well known of this video, and that's Shalimar's Friends album. Has the songs I Can Make You Feel Good, the title track, A Night to Remember, There It Is, all just great songs. They're just the singles. But yeah, just an incredible, incredible album. Of course, you've got Jodie Watley, you've got Jeff Daniels, who taught Michael Jackson to moonwalk. Yeah, Shalimar Friends, incredible album from them. Not a band I pick up everything from, but this album, every time, this is always the one thing I tell people to pick up if they're going to pick up one Shalimar album. It has to be Friends, in my opinion, just because of how great it is from front to back. And of course, the song I Can Make You Feel Good is one I discovered early on when I was discovering 80s R&B for the first time. So how can I not throw this into my top 100? Comes in at 35, of course. At 34, yeah, I mean, Bee Gees' Odessa. If you don't know this album because you think, oh, Bee Gees and this and that, it's not Saturday Night Fever Bee Gees. It's psychedelic. It's sort of psychedelic rock / psychedelic folk. It's very, very different to the stuff they were doing with when they got to Saturday Night Fever later on in their career, the sound they became known for. This album is incredible, and of course with the velvet cover, quite rare, but just an absolute incredible album for me. I discovered this early on because through the Bee Gees. Actually, being a Bee Gees fan, I was getting everything. I didn't know this one. This one was gifted to me as a Christmas present one year, and I threw it on my turntable and fell in love with it because I didn't know it. My boss at the time said that if I'm a Bee Gees fan, I should listen to this, and just because it's early Bee Gees before they got the sound they were known for. And yeah, absolutely incredible album. I'm glad I threw it on as soon as I got home because this album is absolutely incredible. Psychedelic album. One of the albums that got me into psychedelic rock and psychedelic music. I'm still not as into it as most people are, but this is the album I will throw on every time I want to listen to something psychedelic because it's just that good. Bee Gees' Odessa comes in at number 34. 33 goes to another 80s R&B album, and again, it's one that maybe people don't know as well, unless you're like very apt on the whole 80s R&B thing. But this is Lilo Thomas with his album Lilo. This is the last must-have Lilo Thomas album. There's sort of 3 albums he put out at the beginning of his career, and this is the one that I discovered first. It's got his big songs, "Sexy Girl" and "I'm in Love" on this album. Oh, and "Sweet Surrender" is another great song to listen to. But Lilo Thomas, this album got me into Lilo Thomas and sort of got me deeper into the production of Paul Lawrence, because he does a lot of great production and stuff like that. So he produced a lot of Lilo Thomas's stuff, and yeah, he pretty much produced his entire first album and produced a couple of tracks on this album. But of course, it is just an incredible album from front to back. I can't name a bad song on it. But yeah, again, it's just one of those, if you're into 80s R&B and you don't know this album, it's definitely one to check out because it's good. Any of Lilo Thomas's stuff, really, from the 80s. This is his last, like I said, his last must-have album from 87, but just an absolutely stellar album to have. So yeah, if one for the 80s R&B fans, there is Lilo Thomas with Lilo. Yeah, and like I said, it's the album that made me discover Lilo Thomas, and ever since then I haven't gone back. At 32, and yeah, you guys are probably thinking this album should be a lot higher on my list, considering if you're, particularly for a returning viewer of my to my channel. Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. Now, believe it or not, there was a time when this was my favourite album. Don't get me wrong there. But it's definitely not one I go to as often. I mean, I like it because it's got Superstition on it, and it's got You Are the Sunshine of My Life. And my favourite closing track of all time, which is I Believe When I Fall in Love, It Will Be Forever, which obviously also closes the movie High Fidelity, but we won't talk about that just yet. But yeah, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book, incredible album. One of his biggest albums. Sort of the album, I don't want to say it's the first album that brought him into fame, because it's definitely not the first album that brought him into fame, but it's one that people typically pick up first from Stevie, just because of how good it is. But yeah, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. Another one I cannot find a bad track on it. So yeah, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book comes in at 32. Again, it's one from his I picked up early but don't listen to as much anymore, and I don't know why. I sort of just fell in love with some of his other albums a bit more, I guess. But yeah, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book comes in at number 32. Finally, at 31. This album, a lot of people are going to be saying I should put this higher, and really, I probably should. But this is the album that got me into prog rock, and the album that got me into progressive music in general. And just like Bee Gees, I'm not that into it, but it sort of had a bigger impact on me because it's also still somewhat psychedelic, and I did discover this before I discovered Odessa, Dark Side of the Moon. Here's why it's not any higher than 31. It's one of these albums that I discovered because I avoided picking up for a long time because it was a classic album, and I tried to avoid the ones that everybody else was kind of picking up at the everybody else was picking up. But then we played when I was working in the record store. We played it in the shop, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant! I need to take a copy of this home with me." And the copy that I could bring home had the stickers on the cover, but that don't bother me. But yeah, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon comes in at 31, just because it's not one I go to. It's probably the one I spin the least at home, but I still play it loads. I particularly play Money a lot, so that's why I have it. But yeah, one I used to play a lot, don't play as often anymore, but still a good one to own. If you're a Pink Floyd fan or just want a good record collection. So yeah, Dark Side of the Moon comes in at number 31. Sorry to all you Pink Floyd fans out there. I still love the album. I mean, it's in my top 40. It's just not one I can put higher because of, reasons I won't talk about just yet. So with that said and done, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already, and obviously turn on the bell notification so you know when I upload next, because even though I upload Wednesdays and Sundays, you might forget. So yeah, make sure the bell isn't turned on. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again very soon. Peace.